This is Shennis 50 plus, and it's another Sunday.
It is another Sunday. Good evening,
I
Mr.
believe this
Shennis.
is-
Good to see you.
I've seen you too. I believe this is our 6th episode.
It is our
already.
6th episode.
Yes, it is.
Very glad to have everyone here with us
Thank you.
on the channel that we have chosen.
Yes, it's January 6th, I believe today is.
It is January 6th, and Sunday is you know, it's been cold. I mean, this last week it's been just freezing. You know, Wednesday I had to go out there and work in that, and Thursday and Friday, and I know I'm whining, but, you know, to all the construction guys out there, hey, dude,
Yeah.
I know what's up.
Yeah, I've been there
It's
myself.
a bad deal, but now it's warmed up a little bit today, and we have a pretty special guest today.
Yeah, I believe a gentleman from Stick It In Your Ear, Mr. Wes Nicholes.
Wes Nicholes.
Good to see everybody.
How you doing, sir?
How we doing, fellas?
Come
Good,
on.
good. How are you today?
I'm good. What's happening in this mess of a place?
Well,
Hey, where did this beer come from?
by golly, just popped like that.
My God, this
like-
is a hell of a place.
It's not a bad
Cheers,
place.
fellas.
It's not a bad
Cheers
place.
to 2013.
2013
Thank you very
it is.
much. Here we go.
13. Here we go. That's a good lucky number too. 13.
Always has been for me.
So, anyways, there, Wes. You're located here in Springfield, Missouri.
Have been for 20 years.
20
Yeah,
years
20
already.
20 years.
Wow.
It's a long time. Sometimes it seems like 20 days. Other times it seems like 200 years.
Now I have a specific question that has been on my mind for quite some time about your store.
Sure.
Where exactly did you come up with the name?
You know, that's we could talk for 15 minutes on that, but to make a long story short, I was going to school at Oklahoma State, and I remember trying to find a job, couldn't find a job anywhere, and I'd been going to, because I always loved music, even before I sold it. I was a huge fan of it, you know, just like most of us are.
Right.
And this kid says, you know, you ought to go down and, fill out a form or, a application and work at this record store because you know so much about music. And I said, well, yeah, I'll try. So I go into this guy's place called the Record Exchange in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And he said, yeah, man, you've been coming in and I know you know your stuff. He goes, do you know how to run a register? And it was that quick. So fast forward a couple of years, and I was working in the afternoon, and this kid brings in a stack of records. And I go through these records to buy them from this guy, because it was a buy-sell trade like I do
Right.
at Stick It. And I told this kid, I said, listen, man, you've got on this price stickers, you know, it said stick it in your ear. And I said, what is it? He goes, well, it was my dad's store back in the 60s, late 50s, early mid-60s in upstate New York.
Way too cool.
And I said, no way. I said, that is the greatest. He goes, yeah, my dad died back in the late 70s. And I said, well, man, you know, with your blessing, and I was just, talking out of my ass at the time. I thought, with your blessing, if one day I open a store, and he says, man, you can take that. So I can't say it's an original name,
That's an
but
awesome
it's
story,
original.
though. Awesome
Some
story.
guy, and I just think it absolutely fits the record side of it, the music side of the
So
record.
what about the
CD.
music side of things, Wes? Have you do any type of musical playing or anything?
I've played, that's another one that could go on forever,
Yeah.
man. I've played for, ever since I was 7 years old, I've been a drummer.
Hmm.
And I don't talk about it a lot because, people,
Sure.
it seems like the more people talk about it, the less apt they are at doing what they do. So I just kind of, as they used to say, the old saying, those who can't do, teach, and so there you go. I guess those who don't have the, aren't afforded the opportunity to
Have
play
you
for
ever
a living.
played in the Springfield area? Or,
Oh yeah. And I hope you guys have on your show one time. I'm going to try to get him in here, Skip Skiffington. I think you guys
Okay.
would both love
all right,
Skip.
hey, Skip.
He's
Yeah,
he'd
Skip
come and do
gets
your
called.
show. Skip is well known around the world. He's been on Howard Stern. Skip kind of brought me out of hiding. I hadn't played in probably 15 years since we started the Stick It's. At one time there were 5 Stick It in your ears. And I had a rotten partner, and so I just pared it down to 1, and this one has been
So
so
5 years
successful.
ago, you started back out on the
About 5 years
playing.
ago, I
Yeah.
started playing again, and it kind of came back to me. It took me a couple of months to really get my chops back. But Skip has this unique thing that brings together, I don't know how to say it. It's a Svengali type thing, and he brings people together that are great musicians, and Skip is this wonderfully inept, beautiful,
Full-rounded
not
musician.
singer. No, not at all. I mean, he does a little bit, and he just makes the most of what he has, which is just this train wreck of beauty that is Skip.
Oh,
You know,
what's
he's mainly, you know, if you remember back, you guys remember in the '60s when you know, the guy who was the guy that did Howl? I mean, I can't believe I'm a poet and I don't, Ginsberg. Ginsberg would come and he would yell the poetry, right? And that's how Skip delivers. He delivers with this yell and non-musical quality, which ends up being the most musical of all. It's really
What
bizarre.
genre of music would you fall under?
Oh my God, you can't with Skip.
Really?
I mean, this has turned into a Skip story.
I know,
But I know you gotta have him on, man.
I mean, you know, yeah,
Really,
well,
Skip? Okay, dude.
Anyway,
Coming up, man.
Anyway,
But
moving
anyways,
forward,
right.
we have other dates, obviously, coming up, every Sunday we do this.
Sure.
And,
What a
yes,
great idea. I think you
Skip
guys
is
are
gonna-
on to something.
And we're gonna have a musical guest, we had one scheduled this evening, but they, couldn't quite make it, it was short notice, but,
Yeah, it was.
you know, we did have, Mr. Norman Jackson last week, which was great. And, by the way, people, the jam at the Howard Johnson's was awesome.
No, was it the Mexican midget folk trio that was supposed to come and they got waylaid?
Yeah.
Those guys are smoking. They're smoking. And I hear you can get them for half price. Get it? Hey, hey, hey.
Comedian in every.
So let me ask you something, Wes. Who would you put under your favorite bands of all times, or today, or yesterday?
I get asked that a lot. You know, it just depends.
I mean, you're with the music
you know,
every day. Every day you're selling
You know,
music.
the old adage goes so far, and you guys have heard it 100 times. I love steak; it's my favorite food on the planet, but I don't want to eat it every night. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's how a musical palate is.
Right.
Sometimes you're in the mood for something springtime, man, and that's
Right.
got to be '60s cocktail like Martin Denny.
Well,
like
you're the
boy
one that
here.
turned
There
me
we
on.
go.
Right there,
Martin Denny,
I
one
mean,
of the coolest cocktail '60s things you can ever listen to. Nobody owns one Martin Denny record. I was telling Sean, if you own one Martin Denny record, you own 7 Martin Denny records. That's how cool that is.
really.
But and then you might be in the mood for Iggy, and punk, and then you might be in the mood for one of my favorites, which is Jim Morrison and the Doors. I mean, that's just
Right.
timeless stuff that
Right.
you never can get
Right.
tired of.
Unfortunately, he joined the Idiot Club. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? The idiots, they wouldn't be as important they were if they didn't burn out and fade away.
that
And,
could be possible.
as
It's a possibility.
What you
Like
gotta
they did.
really think about though is what could they be now had they not joined the Idiot Club?
probably boring and not, there was a big, and I've heard this from several people, including Eddie Kramer, the producer of most of Hendrix's stuff, and he had a great fear, Hendrix did, of that was all he kind of had to say, that he wasn't really,
He
didn't
said
feel
all he had.
confident. He didn't feel confident about where to go next, and I think that ate at him. And I think it ate at Jim too. Jim had a lot of legal problems, and
Well, they may have been
Yeah,
ahead of their
problems out
time,
in Miami.
just a little bit as far as their abilities and their
Sure.
equipment probably wasn't caught up to them
absolutely.
as much. But
Well, and like you say, when you've done so much in your genre and you don't feel anything beyond that, then you kind of think, well, I could
They
do
maxed
something
out.
else. And Jim did that too. Jim's, there's this romantic philosophy, which America has a huge panache of doing that, of romanticizing everything. But a lot of people thought, well, Jim just wanted to go to Paris to be a poet. Well, no, I don't know. No, that's romantic, but it's not true. He was scared of going to prison. The Miami thing tore him up. He didn't know what else to do. He had run his gamut with
Right.
the Doors and psychedelic music,
Right.
and said, "Man, I'm just going to go spend my money. I'm going to go
Enjoy.
and just enjoy what I've done. I don't know who I am, what I am. I'm just gone."
All right.
you know?
Speaking of musicians, I understand you have a son by the name of Mo out there in
Uh-huh.
L.A.
Morrison, named after Jim.
Really?
Absolutely. He's my pride and joy, along with Max, my other son. They're both drummers. They both started probably earlier than I did, and you know, Mo and Max were both better at around 12 or 13 than I was as an adult. So
Well, you
it's
brought it
true
up.
that you get the gene,
Right.
and then if you have the gene and they're brought into it, that.
Well,
But Mo's doing great.
Yeah,
he's
what's he doing
he's
lately?
been out there since he was 17. He got
17?
accepted to Musicians
How old is he
Institute.
now?
It's
20
24.
24.
And he's played with Mariah Carey, and he's played with several. But you know, it's a hard life out there now. LA is very tough for music.
Yeah.
I spent some time in LA.
Everybody wants it, and
You know, it's
only few places.
and another cat that you guys really need to get on the show, Sean Eccles, here in town with the group Speakeasy. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's one of my good
Yeah,
friends, and
I've seen them
and
play. They're very good players.
Sean
Very
is
good band.
Sean's brother is out there in L.A. where Morrison, Mo, my son, is, and he said, sadly, now listen to this, man. Sadly, what makes money out there now is playing in coffee houses acoustically, or with 2 or 3 or 4 people acoustically, doing covers, which is, you know, just unbelievable that everything has reverted back to a simplicity.
All the way back to that. All the
You
way
know,
back to
the
50s, 60s.
Phoenix Rising
She
from
loves
the
you,
ashes.
yeah,
stuff, you know.
yeah.
Right, right.
I mean,
Because there's no money to be made in any genre. The music industry has so screwed itself and being so brazenly, you know, I personally think that had the whole revolution of blank CDs and the technology and to make everything so cheap really cut their own throat. And they could tomorrow, if they pull back and said, okay, a spool of CDs or DVDs is now going to cost you $100, I think people would go back to buying pre-recorded music.
Instead of
Because
pirating
now it's
music, right?
devalued music
Yes, it
so
has.
much that there's
Well,
no pride in it.
Yeah.
You also got all these the iPods and the iPads
Right, the technology,
and everything.
right.
I mean, they can download you can download
Sure,
3,000
sure.
songs and it doesn't cost you a dime. And,
Right.
and
I
so
know.
that's why we have to make our money playing live.
There you
No,
go.
would you
There you
feel
go.
as though
And
that
that's,
was...
that's the ticket. You know?
Yeah, it's sad that it's become like that because
Right.
you'll, in their generation, I mean, there's my sons and your sons and your son's sons, there will be no value of a Prince or a Led Zeppelin. There will be nothing to go, let's go into the studio and make music because playing live is the only avenue, as you said, Sean, to make any
Right.
kind of money. And it's
Right.
sad
To
that
make
it's
any
turned
money,
into
you're
that.
going to have to play a lot of live shows.
So
you know,
how are
back
people-
to the 300 show tours.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
But then you've got to be established because nobody's going to come
Yeah.
see you. It's a rat through the snake. Nobody's going to come see you unless you have those established songs, which
Right.
can't be possible because nobody's buying the records because they're ripping it. So we're at a precipice now that
Yeah.
we're going to have to pull back and make music worth something. We're going to have to say, you need to buy it. I mean, as Einstein said in his last interview, he says, the tragedy of your times, my young friends, is that you may get exactly what you want. And the interviewer, this young kid, said, well, what do you mean by that, Mr. Einstein? And he says, if everything in the future becomes cheap or free, then what? What do you get up in the morning and go to work for? What do you have pride in? What do you strive to do to make that piece of paper worth something to go and buy? Whether it's a car or food or music. By God, just music. I mean, that's our culture. That's our art. And if it's being devalued to zero, there's nothing left. There's no reason to do this. So we're at a dangerous place right now. And
unfortunately,
hopefully
we're getting to a dangerous
somebody
spot
will
right
figure
now.
it out.
yeah.
We're coming to it.
Anyway,
we gotta
ladies and
get
gentlemen,
wrap this up soon.
for this 6th episode of 50 Plus, Mr. Wes Nicholes.
Mr. Wes Nicholes.
Thank you, guys.
Words of wisdom. Thank you,
Where's the
sir.
wisdom?
Thank you, sir.
Very good. That's
All
very good.
right.
Guys, that was, we could have
But
done that.
anyways,
Do it next week.
you know, sometimes you have these little difficulties. But anyways, back on track here.
Right, yeah.
What do you think?
Well, you know,
Again,
episode
right?
6,
Not
we
bad.
got 6 under our belt now, and what, you know, really impressed me about Wes was his knowledge of music and you know, him owning the record store that he does, that's just awesome.
I don't know how he
Guest
keeps all
or-
that in his head.
I
just
can't
don't.
I can't remember who writes a song.
Right.
Or they just play the first note and we off we go. You know,
Right.
I can't remember the words or the names or who wrote it or any of that. He just rattled it right
Yeah,
off.
he did.
But
Yes,
anyway,
he did. But anyway,
uh,
right.
ladies and gentlemen, good night from Shennis Sound Studios.
And I hope you all have a pleasant week, and we'll see you back next Sunday, 50 plus.
50 plus.